Hi, Anna.
Hi.
How's it going today?
Pretty good.
Nice. Everybody's wearing green today. The
Yeah.
student before you that I had wore green as well. So must just be, from all the rain and the plants and the blooming and, you know, spring moving into summer. Everything's lush and green. I've been noticing that a lot of things seem more green this year. We've had some kind of like Seattle weather kind of days where it's been like steamy and misty and cloudy, and it's just like nourishing the earth. So maybe it inspired all of us to wear green. How's your voice feeling?
Okay. I actually just woke up like 15 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah,
And
your body
I'm
just needed
ready
extra
for that.
rest.
So, it's definitely feeling like kind of fresh, but I'm definitely like still getting warmed up with just like talking in general too.
Sure, yeah. So we'll be sure to do a good warm up, maybe some technique work, and dive into our songs as well. So then tell me this week, I know you probably had a pretty busy week. Did you get to do any practicing, and what did you notice in those sessions?
I have to admit, I have been really bad about practicing. I'm really
Yeah,
sorry. I just have
that's
not,
okay.
but I
Well, I
do.
know too, it's the end of the year, so we're coming up on finals and things, so.
I have I do have written down like what we talked about yesterday, so
Mhm.
I can like I was looking at that right before this. So I
Nice.
can definitely like use that, but I do have written down on a notes like what we talked about at our last lesson. So
Oh, great. That's awesome. Cool. That's great. Yeah, you can always go back and review then. Perfect. Okay, so thinking about today, what would you say if you picked a goal for this session? What would your number one goal be?
um probably to get a good sound like the Gracie Abrams like airy sound um for
Yes.
Risk, and
Mm-hmm.
getting more of like a soloist, just like the soloist sound,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and just like
Yes.
less clarity for both songs for Same God and for Risk.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Okay, so really good insights there. And that's basically what I was planning on doing anyway, based on our last session and discussion then. So that sounds perfect. Alrighty, so let's get your voice going first. I'm going to check out my sound settings. Oops, sorry, my camera clicked off for a second. That was weird. Oh well, I just turned it back on. Quirky things happen every now and then. Alrighty, so we're gonna start just nice and gentle since you are just kind of getting started for the day. So let's try. First, we're just gonna do a hum on an M and then we'll open to E and we're just gonna sustain that and hold it out. So breathing in. Me. Me. Breathing in. Me. Breathe in. Me. Breathe in. Me. Me. Very good. One more. Me. Nice. Nice. Okay, so now let's stretch the vocal folds. Let's do a whoop, sliding low to high, like whoop.
Ooh.
Exactly. Yes, again. Whoop. And then we're going to go wahoo, sliding down. Woohoo! Nice. And then once more. Woohoo! Awesome. Okay. We're going to do that sustaining one more time, but different vowel. Let's do it on mo this time. A nice rounded, warm vowel instead of the bright vowel. Breathing in. Mo. Breathing in. Mo. Breathing in. Mo. Breathing in. Mo. Breathe. Mo. Breathe in. Mo. Breathe in. Last one. Mo. All right, very good. So we're going to do some sighs now, going a little bit lower. Let's start where we just ended, and we're going to go ha. So ha, breathing in. Ha. 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 Nice. Awesome. All right. So we're going to try now. Let's start at middle C, going up and over and through. Let's try go. Nice. Let's do that exercise today. Let's go. So full octave. Breathing in. Breathe. 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 Great. Let's stop there for this time through. Go ahead and sigh down. Ah.
Ah.
Nice. Okay. Now let's go ahead and do descending on a scale. So we're going to go on wah, 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 wah. Going lower. Breathing in. Wah, 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 wah. 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 All right, nice. So let's do just kind of a like, ooh, just kind of get back your equilibrium there. Great. All right, we're gonna go a little bit higher now. Oops, I don't want to start on that. See, that's where we ended. I want to start here. Let's do it on Scooby Dooby 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 Doo. 1, 2, here we go. Scooby Dooby 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 Doo. 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 One more. Scooby Dooby 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 Doo. Good, let's slide down. Ooh. Nice. All right, let's go a little bit lower again. We'll start here. And we're gonna go pwee 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 on thirds, jumping down. Breathing in. Pwee pwee pwee. 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 All right, let's go ahead and stop there. And then we're going to go up a little higher. Let's do Z-A-I-E. Z-A-I-E. Breathing in. Z-A-I-E. 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 Z. All right, go ahead and slide down. Hey.
Hey.
Nice, yes. All right, so with some of the comments you had, I'm going to do a few more to work on some techniques. So the first one we're going to do is we're just going to sustain on this note, but we're going to try really soft and heady and light and kind of airy. And then we're going to gradually get more and more intense and more clear, engaging more of that chest voice muscle. And then we're gradually going to back off of it and go back to that light, airy, flute-like quality. So we're going to start on ooh, we're going to go ooh. All right, and those vowels should help us to feel the lightness and the intensity. Breathing in. Nice, good. Let's stop there. How do you feel about that one? What did you observe?
Um, I observed that it felt pretty good, like there's a big drastic difference even in like a 2 second like vocal exercise each round. Like
Yeah.
there's a big difference between the airy and the bright.
Oh, for sure, right? Yes, definitely. I love that. So, what we're doing is we're trying to master which muscle am I engaging more than the other at any time. And even on the same note, we learned, oh, I can have more head voice or I can have more chest voice. That's a choice. They used to think that head voice was only part of your range and then chest voice was the other part of your range, maybe, and now we've found, oh, I can actually use each muscle. Sometimes, even on the same note, I can do like full chest or full head on that particular note, which is a pretty cool discovery. And it gives us a lot more creative, expressive freedom, which is pretty neat. Okay, so which song would you pick first? Same God or Risk?
Could we do Risk?
Absolutely. Okay. So, do you want to try the lyric video first and sing along with?
Sure, that sounds good.
Okay. I think we'll do, instead of the official one, let's do one that's more like made so you can sing along with the lyrics. If it's the official one, it's more so you can kind of like see the lyrics as you're listening to the song. And this
Yeah.
one's more like to sing along with. So there is a good link. So go ahead and go over there.
Okay.
I saw my library people recommended this album to me.
That's
It like
cool.
popped up in my email. I was like, ah. I
Yeah.
get these like notifications where the librarians submit like recommended things for me. It's pretty fun. So this was one of the things. So yeah, so this first time through, I just want you to go through and just kind of have fun with it, show me where it's at, and we'll go from there.
Didn't work out. We bought a house, but you had to move out. No, not proud, cause I'm just scared of you shooting it down. You can just talk and stare at your mouth. It could be bad, but I wanna find out. And the way you go, in the middle, light on. And I feel like I could die. Cause you're not here. And it don't feel right. Cause you're not here. Watch this be the wrong in the classic God. I'm jumping in the deep end. I'm gonna swim and the risk is drowning, but I'm gonna take it. You know, I'm right when I probably in the song. Not that I haven't been touched by you. In my head, in the car, I'm in me, and it's my door, and you can't even speak, but it's sweet, you're sweet. I'm not even kidding. Oh, I'm shooting it back. I've been even mad yet. We say I was not gonna take it.
Nice. Very good. Okay. So tell me first, what were your favorite things about it?
The emotion, I think, and I feel like I did it. Like there were some hard parts where I ran out of breath, but I think overall I did okay, like knowing when to breathe.
That's good. That's a great thing to feel like, oh, I'm doing pretty good with that. I mean, the breath is honestly one of those first steps, those first basic building blocks of the song. And if we don't get that, nothing else works right. So, yeah, that's always a good thing to focus on early on in a song, getting that really solid. So, I love hearing that. What would you say is maybe your favorite thing about the song? And what would you say is maybe the most challenging thing about the song?
Um, I like, well, it's kind of the same thing, like both challenging and my favorite. Um, um, like I really like the chorus. Um, but like and like the tune of it and the notes are really really fun to sing, but it's also like the most challenging part to get the correct notes, and I think that the verse is
Yeah.
also really challenging because I'm still working on getting that balance between like the both bright and airy.
Yeah, right. The balance. Yeah, that's a really good point that we want to have like a strength and support, a fully supported sound, but also having a little bit of an airy quality where it doesn't sound as like bright and clear and clean as maybe, say, a musical theater character, right?
Yeah.
So, if we were doing, let's say, Tangled, right? Um, and her like, when will my life begin or something, right? It's clean, it's clear, it's a little bit brighter, it's smooth. Here we embrace some imperfections because they are stylistically correct. Things that in musical theater you might go like, oh, we don't really want that for this, right? And I would say there's kind of like a Disney musical theater style. There's like a hip hop musical theater style. There's a rock musical theater style, And then this is very much like a pop style with a vocalist who has their own distinct kind of way of approaching everything. So, how can we get that kind of fuzzy, airy quality while still having support, right? Fully supporting. So, let's try something. Just as an exercise, we're just going to focus on the airy quality. So, we're going to do on do do do, but instead of like a do 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 do, right? I'm going to do more of a do 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 do, right? So I'm purposefully doing it really airy and just really focus on that. What you're doing is you're not fully adducting or bringing those vocal folds totally together. And we get that kind of kind of feeling. And it's not so much like a do 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 do. It's more of like a lazy ooh. Yeah. So you want your vowel shapes to be less like choral or classical and like perfect and like pure, and a little more like lazy. Do 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 do. Right? Try that.
Do 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 do.
Yes, exactly. You get that feeling, right? So let's just, as an exercise, let's go through the song on that, just really focusing on that windy, airy, fuzzy around the edges kind of feel and kind of lazy vowels.
Didn't work out. You got a house, but you better move out. Not proud, cause I'm just scared of you shooting me down. You can just talk and stare at your mouth. I could be bad, but I wanna find out. And wake up, middle, light on. I feel like I could die. Cause you're not here. And I don't feel right. Cause you're not here. Fine, I'm right when I'm talking about everything in the song. Not damn right, I'm touched by you. My head is on, really, it's not over. You can't speak, but you're sweet. You're sweet. Be covered. Oh, shooting.
Okay, nice. All right. So what did you observe there?
Um, that the areas like if it like it was kind of like her voice to the very extreme, like the areas, but it did like fit well with the song. If
Yeah.
like when mixed with a little bit of like a brighter sound too, like it would fit well with the song and with
Yeah.
similar to Gracie's voice.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so then, all right, the next thing we're going to try, let's try on the words with that kind of fuzzy around the edges feeling. I also want you to keep in mind we can play with different volumes throughout the sound, but for right now, that kind of airy quality throughout is the number one priority. And yeah, we're just going to do that on the words. So just focus on that for right now. I don't want to add too many things. Let's just really focus in on one thing at a time.
Okay.
Great.
But I need you down. Knew you would improve. Didn't work out. Know you bought a house, but you better move out. We're not proud. Guess I'm just scared of you shooting it down. You can just talk and stare at your mouth. It could be bad, but I wanna find out. And wake up in the middle. Light on, I feel like I could die. Cause I'm not here, and I don't feel right. Cause I'm not here. Fine, you know I'm right when I'm talking to you. Everything in the song, more than what I've been touched by you. In my head, in the corner, every me, and it's my door, you can't speak, but it's sweet, you're sweet. Leave go, oh, shooting us. I've been even
Nice. Okay, so how did that feel?
It felt good. It was yeah, it felt pretty good.
More in line with what you're aiming for, right? Yeah, so what would you describe with how it feels and what you're liking about it and what you still feel like needs adjusting?
Well, I'm liking like the fitting of the airy sound, and I think what still needs work is like kind of matching that with like the notes and still staying on pitch, like even more
Yeah.
of an airy
Okay.
sound and still making it sound like good in volume and lots of volume.
Right.
Um, like even though it's supposed to be airy.
Yeah, that is a tricky thing. So, with the airiness, we're using a lot of excess air because the most efficient thing is to have a clear tone. So, we're already needing extra air for that. And then, if we want to be louder, we also need extra air for that. So, I can do like, all of that's airy. I can kind of crescendo through and still stay airy, but it definitely takes more of that core connection. So, just as an exercise, we're going to play a little bit. So, we're going to do on an ah, just like I just did. And let's start a little bit lower. Let's do the C. We'll do middle C. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start super soft as we can with that airy quality. And then we're going to get louder, 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 louder. Just go to where you can while keeping it airy. Just see, incrementally where you can get to. It's not about being hugely loud right now. It's about just getting that coordination of getting a little bit louder, louder, louder. And when it feels like I'm going to go clear or I'm going to like start belting or whatever, just cut it off. Just go to where you can right now. It's kind of like in a dance class with a tendu. And then eventually they're like lifting their leg and then they're kicking themselves in the face. But at first they just slide their foot along the floor. So just go to where it's comfortable and feels doable. So on that ah, nice and soft first. Yep, and we're just crescendoing through right now. All right, let's go ahead and stop there. All right, so you can feel how you can get louder while still being breathy. So here's what happens. When we're louder, so when we're soft, our vocal folds are vibrating much closer together. As we get louder and louder and louder, they're going to go wider and wider and wider, and they're smacking harder. And you can kind of illustrate the feeling of that. As you get wider, you get more sound, and you feel more of a sting in your hands, right? Then the coordination of getting the airy quality, what we're doing there is when we close, we are always leaving a little bit of like gaps. We're not fully adducting and like squishing them together. We're leaving like a softer connection and little gaps so we can get that airiness, that kind of hissy feeling. So loudness is based on how far away from each other they go, whereas the airy quality is based on that connection and that being a little bit lighter. So it's like two things you have to do at once, which makes it a little bit trickier of a coordination because it's not just one thing, it's two things. But that exercise is a really good one to try to practice that and kind of find that sensation. Um, so let's go ahead and go back through on the words, but this time try to add some dynamics. Think about the structure of this song, the build, where the peak of the song is. You can also listen to her when she gets louder and softer. Keep in mind, she has microphones and producers who are tweaking the sound and using Melodyne and doing other things. So don't push yourself to do something that feels uncomfortable. Stick with prioritizing building the technique right now. Yeah? All right, let's do it again.
Just in other words.
Yes.
Didn't work out. We bought a house, but you gotta move out. Not proud, cause I'm just scared of you shooting it down. You can just talk and stare at your mouth. It could be bad, but I wanna find out. And the way you go, in the middle, light on. I feel like I could die, cause I'm not here. And it don't feel right, cause I'm not here. Watch this be the wrong classic thought. I'm jumping in the deep end. It's more fun to swim and the risk is drowning. I'm gonna take it. Fun, you know I'm right when I'm probably real. I'm thinking the snow. I'm damn glad I've been touched by you. In my head, calling me. It's not the word you can't speak, but it's sweet. It's sweet. Wake up.
Yes, nice. Okay, so how did that feel that time?
That felt really good. It felt like I was kind
Yay.
of getting it.
Right. Yeah. And the thing is, once you're moving in the right direction, when you practice it, your muscles are going to remember that feeling. They'll be like, wait, okay, let's try to do that some more. And they'll get more and more comfortable with doing that new technique and coordination. Nice. Awesome. Very good. So then, okay. So now that you've got that down, what would you say is the next thing that you're like, I'd really like to add this. Or alternatively, we can just focus on that, which I feel like is honestly enough to focus on right now of a coordination and technique because we really haven't done that before. And switch to the other songs. Do you want to work more on this one or switch to the other?
Maybe switch to the other. I do have
same God.
about it though.
Yeah.
I did notice that since of course like we have to use more breath, I felt like I was like kind of like almost hyperventilating and maybe even getting a little lightheaded while I was
Oh, yeah.
It's like not too much, but like just a little bit. I
That's a
also
great question.
say, but I was just wondering about that.
Yes, absolutely. So, what's happening there is you're hyperventilating. So, when you're practicing, if you start to feel that, lie down. You can practice lying down. And actually, that works great for tapping into that core connection in the breath. You'll have a lot of awareness of your breath and you'll just automatically be in a good alignment. I like to bend my knees, point my knees up to the sky, and keep my feet flat on the floor. So, I've got the bent knees because that'll flatten out the lower back as well. So, you'll have more awareness of that. So, I recommend lying down if you start to feel that. And you can actually still practice in that position. But you're hyperventilating, which means you're over oxygenating. So, what we need to do is not have so much oxygen in our body. So, what's happening is probably that you're thinking, I need so much air. So, you're kind of tanking up, which means that we breathe in and then we don't use all the air and then we breathe in again. And we don't use all the air and we breathe in again. And you eventually get like rigid and stuck, and there's so much air that it's like hard to even access anymore. So, what we want to be sure that we do is we want to use up all of the air by the end of the phrase. So I want you to think, I have to get rid of all of my air by the end. So you're breathing in, sing, 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 sing. If I still have air at the end, I try to just like towards the end of the phrase, just use it up. So let those ribs come down. Use the rest of the air for the last of the phrase so that you need air when you breathe in again. Can we try it one more time and focus on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. I think that's one thing that we could add pretty easily. So, yeah, try to use the air.
Didn't work out, but I asked if you had to move out. Not proud, cause I'm just scared of you shooting it down. You can just talk and I still read your mind. I could be bad, but I wanna find out. And I wake up, and light on, and I feel like I could die. Cause I'm not here, and I don't feel right. Cause I'm not here. Fine, you know, I'm right when I'm talking to you. I'm singing a song. Nothing but touch body. I really, it's not all you can speak, but it's sweet. You sweet.
Okay. So how did that feel?
It felt okay. It was definitely a challenge, and I still need to work on it, but it felt okay.
Yeah. That is something that working on in exercises I think would also be helpful. So try this, next 2 weeks, try to focus on in the exercises, try to use up all of your air by the end of each phrase so that you need air when you get to the end of it. Yeah? You could
Yeah.
even try some of the exercises breathy, though I do recommend fully warming up before you do that because the breathy quality is actually a bit more fatiguing to the voice. So just keep that in mind. All right. So, great. You want to try Same God?
Sure.
I think that's a lot to work on with the song because it's pretty new ideas and concepts. So, for us, because we've just focused on other things before. Do you want to do a lyric video or do you want to do just by yourself?
Could I do it by myself? I do have a piano cover thing that
Okay,
I
great. That you've got to work with. Yeah, perfect. Let's do that.
endorsed that you will keep you need now to do the same thing. Now that may not face Goliath, but I've got my giants. God, my God, I need you. Oh God, my God, I need you now. How I need you. Probably the soloist sound and just playing with the different parts of the song and not making it sound just like solid the same.
Well, that's a good thing. What is still something that you were like, I still feel like I need to work on this?
Having the right breath energy and staying on pitch and like hitting all the notes while also but also being able to do the soloist sound, so being able to do both.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah.
Okay. So, if you pick the number one thing that you're like, this is the number one thing I want to improve, what would that number one thing be?
Um, Probably breath, because like risk breath. Um,
Yeah.
Having the right sound and staying on pitch. So like kind of just having a good strong tone while also playing with the song.
Okay, absolutely. All right. So, let's try as an exercise. Let's go through the whole thing on na 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 na. And I want you to sing it forte the entire time. So big and bold, loud and proud, supported, not pushed. All right? So just big, bold, supported sound on na 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 na. Na 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 na. Right? Big and bold, loud and proud the whole time.
No, 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 no,
Alrighty. So, what did you observe that time through? What did that feel like? What did you notice? What did you learn from that?
Um, the lower parts were really hard. Really, really hard.
Yeah.
I think my voice is also just kind of a little bit out of shape today. I'm not really sure why.
Hmm.
I feel like I've been struggling more than normal with like things that I don't normally struggle with, like if I sing in the
Ah.
middle of the day.
Do
But
you feel like I know for me, I'm having a lot of trouble with allergies right now just because of the season and all the weather changes. And I know a lot of other people have too, like the pressure in the air and like cold and hot and rainy and sunny. And it's just a lot of changes for our body. So it could just be your body reacting to the weather or allergies. It could also be like if you're more tired than usual or a little bit stressed with finals, that can affect your voice too, or if you're not resting as much or you're not as hydrated right now. So many things can affect that. Um, so I'm not too worried about it since it's just like right now, you know?
yeah,
But if it keeps feeling rough for 3 weeks or longer, then we probably want to have a doctor look at it.
okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds-
So why don't you just kind of like, since I won't see you next week, just like text me an update a week from now and just let me know how your voice is feeling then.
Okay.
Okay? And that way we can just kind of keep tabs on it every week.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. Alrighty, sounds good. Well, I actually thought it was a really good lesson today, and we made a lot of good progress. We're trying to do completely new things. So it makes sense that your voice would be a little tuckered or be like, oh, this is harder than usual because it's going, oh, I'm not really sure what to do here, you know?
Yeah.
So I think you're doing all the right things, and I don't really think there's anything concerning at this point. But just know when you're working on new techniques, it is going to get fatigued more easily.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So just kind of keep that in mind. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Okay.
So much.
Keep up the good work and
Bye.
have a good, good luck with all your finals and everything wrapping up too.
Bye.
Bye, Anna.